Reddit. What is your most memorable, oh crap, this person is crazy moment? Story 1. Dating a girl, but it started going poorly. She didn't understand boundaries at all. Like I'd tell her that my plan from 6:10 p.m. was to go out to a birthday party for a friend. She'd call at 7 p.m. and beg me to leave. So, I broke it off. It was amicable. Calls me 2 days later. I'm pregnant. Well, so I start talking to her and planning how we are going to raise this child, but all she wants to talk about is why I dumped her. Long story short, she faked her pregnancy. When I call her out on it, she responds with, "I'll take another test right now and come show it to you." So, she comes over with the test. The test shows nothing, and she screams, "But I know I'm pregnant." So, she's quite crazy. I just told her not to talk to me again, so she proceeds to call my brother, mother, my ex-girlfriend, my friends, and ask them all what is wrong with me. Story 2. We weren't an exclusive couple yet, but this girl and I had slept together a few times, become kind of buddy-buddy. But something about her always felt off. I always hesitated at the idea of making her a serious girlfriend. Then one day, while watching a movie, she randomly tells me that she can talk to cats. I said, "Oh, you mean like communicate with them? Kinda horse whisperer type thing." She said, "No, I can hear them talk. Just like you're talking now. Except they only talk to me, and they tell me how they feel. Yeah, they also tell me about when they see ghosts and stuff." Believe it or not, I didn't break it off right away. I also questioned myself being around her when I met one of her friends, who proceeded to tell me right off the bat that one day, him and a friend of his got high on mushrooms and tag-teamed a coyote in the woods. My life is a cartoon. Story 3. My mother is clinically insane, but the first time I realized it I was 7 or 8. She and my father were divorced, but she had visiting rights, so every few months I would go stay with her for a week or more. One night, while I was staying with her, I found her completely topless, chilling on the front porch smoking a cigarette. I asked her what she was doing without a shirt on, and she told me it was legal to be naked in public when the sun goes down. Man, even at that age I knew better than that. Oh, and she peed in some apology cookies and fed them to my brother after they had a fight. I laughed so hard. Story 4. I have 2 friends, let's call them Tom and Steve, who dated for about 4 years. When they met, Tom was in college and Steve was not. They were a great couple and seemed very happy. After 3 years, Tom graduated from his university and was accepted to grad school in a different state. They decide to both pack up and move 1,000 miles so Tom can go to school. He starts at his new university, but his schedule is strange and keeps changing. Steve never sees Tom doing homework. After about a year, Steve starts to get suspicious and does some investigating. He follows Tom a couple times and finds that he's not actually going to school. He's just sitting at coffee shops or going to movies. Steve confronts Tom, and Tom confesses that not only was he never accepted to this new university, but he had never attended a single day of college in his life. He made it all up and got away with it for 4 years. When asked why, he really couldn't give an answer. He was just compelled to fabricate this fake part of his life. Needless to say, they are not seeing each other anymore. Story 5. I had my first serious crush in 8th grade. He was cute, asked me to the Valentine's dance, etc. After a few weeks of dating, he convinced me to stay after school to show me something very important. Turns out there were tiny green bugs living in his blood that would give him superpowers once he'd finished metamorphosizing, a process he demonstrated by taking a nap in my presence. I left him asleep in the gym and never talked to him again. Story 6. I was dating a guy for 2 years when I finally realized that he had tons of friends who talked to me, and they were all him. He would use these friends as a means to get into fights with me, to get me to have sex with him, to tell me things, to get things out of me. He thought I was keeping things from him. I wasn't. I realized how manipulative and crazy he was, and what a compulsive liar he was. He also lied to me about his stepfather physically abusing him. The relationship ended when I walked in on him cheating on me. The reason I think it took me so long to realize how crazy he was because we had been best friends before we had started dating, and he was never like that. He was the sweetest, nicest guy. But when we started dating, he became a lying, controlling asshole. Story 7. I met a kinky girl online. We chatted once, ended up camming, and it went really well. I gave her my phone number and email so we could continue things. The next day when I was at work, I got about 20 messages telling me to check my email. I did, and she had sent me a link to a video. I opened the video, and she is in a bathroom crying and telling me, "I am a devoted slave master. I'll do anything for you, even this." The camera pans down, and I get an HD view of a disgusting toilet, dried little turd flecks, just pure nastiness. Then she sets the camera down and leans down and starts cleaning the toilet with her tongue. I'm a pretty hardened kink guy, but the sheer degradation she heaped on herself for me after chatting with me for 4 hours immediately set off my sanity alarms. Never have I seen anything that set off such a war between being extremely turned on and extremely disgusted. Needless to say, I sent her a message politely telling her it wasn't going to work, and I didn't think I could handle her properly. She still messaged me on occasion, and she sent me more than a few pictures, including a few of her getting F'd by a fat guy while crying. Story 8. Had a girl in my car. I knew she was a little high energy, but we had been out on a few dates and had a great time on all of them. No sex had happened by this point. So we're driving to a punk show, and we pass by some black guys standing on the corner, and she rolls down the window and shouted the N-word like 3 times with a hard R. I dropped her off at the show, told her I was going to park the car, but instead I just drove home. This was before text messaging. She had no cell phone anyway. So all I really had to do to never talk to her again was block her on AIM. I did run into her again about a year later at a party. My abandoning her had really pissed her off to the point where it looked like she was going to break a beer bottle on my face. But when I explained why I did it, she was really apologetic, and suddenly she was okay with me again. After that encounter, I never saw her again. Story 9. Dated a girl who was 18 when I was around 21. She would keep a diary of her conversations she would have with me over the phone AIM. I was really busy for about 3 weeks and was only able to talk for a night a week. When I came home, she showed me the diary of all these conversations we had never had. Apparently, I had asked her to marry her and then cheated on her, got another girl pregnant, and then unalived the other woman so that I could be with her. I continued dating her until I left for school again. When I broke up with her, she drove to my house and screamed and cried in the driveway. I wasn't home, but my neighbors told me about it. Story 10. My ex loved Einstein. She had his autobiography, framed pictures of him and all that. That's one reason why I liked her, was because a hot girl liked a nerdy thing. Admittedly, she knew little about his work on relativity, but mostly enjoyed his personal life. I let it slide. About a month before we broke up, together 2 years, we were smoking cannabis, laying on the couch watching Back to the Future. Her entire life, she had thought that Christopher Lloyd was playing Einstein in the movie. I had to explain to her that Doc Brown was an homage to Einstein, right down to his white hair and the name of his dog. She immediately burst into tears and cried for 20 minutes and screamed, "But why? How can it be?" It occurred to me that she had based a large part of her worldview on this simple misunderstanding. To provide a comparison, a critical thinking person would say, "Oh, that isn't Einstein? Oops, looks like all the egg is on my face. Ha ha ha," and moved on with life. I remember staring at her and laughing uncontrollably. We already had problems, but I rationalized them out of existence. But it was that moment I actually thought, this woman is not the one. We didn't last much longer.
Thank you all for watching. Please leave your story down in the comment below. There's a good chance that it could end up in a future video. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe.